You arrived here not by accident, but by a quiet refusal to keep living on the surface. And I want to honor that. I want to sit with you, breathe with you, and let the noise of a demanding world recede until your own inner waters begin to clear, because wisdom does not shout over the marketplace of opinions. It whispers to those who can bear silence long enough to hear themselves again. Whoever is wise seeks to learn, not to impress, not to dominate, not to prove a point, but to become more truthful, more whole, more available to reality as it truly is. You have carried questions that would not sleep. You have carried responsibilities that did not wait. And in the press of decisions that seemed urgent, your heart learned to move faster than it could feel. Let's slow it down together, not to escape life, but to enter it more awake. There is a reason advice feels cheap and clarity feels expensive. The mind absorbs information while the heart still grapples with fear. And when fear remains unaddressed, even the best advice slides off like rain on stone. You may know what should be done and still feel a tremor in the chest, a tightness in the throat, a mind that cycles the same 3 worries at midnight. That is not failure. That is your nervous system doing its ancient job of scanning for danger, while the wiser part of you asks for something older, deeper, kinder. Whoever is wise seeks to learn how to breathe through uncertainty, how to name what hurts without drowning in it, how to hold a decision long enough for it to ripen. This is practical spirituality, where prayer meets practice, and where emotional neuroscience becomes hospitality for the soul. Breath slows, the vagus nerve signals safety, the prefrontal cortex brightens, curiosity returns, and with curiosity comes mercy toward yourself and steadiness toward your path. When we speak of King Solomon, we are not invoking a legend to decorate our struggles. We are remembering a man who, when offered anything, asked first for a discerning heart, and that choice has echoed through centuries because it speaks to a need we recognize in our bones. Wisdom, as he understood it, is not the arrogance of having all the answers. It is the humility of asking better questions, the courage to accept correction without shame, and the patience to see life in seasons rather than in a single anxious moment. It is spiritual because it begins with reverence for something higher than our impulses, and it is practical because it lands in the calendar, in the conversation you have to initiate, in the boundary you need to keep, in the craft you must quietly sharpen. Whoever is wise seeks to learn, yes, but also to unlearn what keeps the heart hard and the mind hurried. Perhaps you are arriving with a private list of regrets, investments that did not return, words you cannot pull back, delays that cost you more than money. Hear this with tenderness. Nothing essential is lost if it becomes wisdom, and wisdom often begins at the place where we are finally willing to be taught. The body remembers the sting of being wrong, which is why it flinches before feedback. And yet the soul longs for the relief that correction brings, because correction is not humiliation, it is alignment, and alignment feels like breath finding its rhythm after a climb that was steeper than you admitted. The heart softens, the shoulders drop, the mind stops arguing with reality and begins to collaborate with it. This is not self-blame. This is self-friendship at the highest level, the kind that refuses to abandon you in your most teachable moments. I want to meet you there, in that warm and ordinary holiness where learning becomes worship and excellence becomes service. Imagine a lamp lit on a wooden table as the evening cools. The room does not become daylight, yet you can see enough to take the next step without stumbling, and that is how true wisdom feels. You do not need a spotlight that blinds. You need a faithful flame that guides. With that flame, the crown does not need to grow. In fact, the crown can shrink as the map widens, because humility enlarges your world and pride only narrows it. With that flame, effort stops fighting the weather, because timing teaches the hand when to sow and when to rest. With that flame, the heart learns to guard its gates, letting worthy voices enter and letting unworthy voices pass by without incident. With that flame, diligence begins to build what haste could only imagine. With that flame, counsel becomes a shelter where truth can be spoken before the world speaks it for you. Let your body register this: slower breathing, longer exhale, shoulders softening, jaw unhooking. You are safe to think, safe to feel, safe to learn. The brain's alarm grows quieter when safety is named, and as the alarm quiets, the higher mind awakens to patterns you missed when you were rushing. Curiosity is not a luxury, it is the open door through which wisdom enters, and you can cultivate it the way you would cultivate a garden, gently, consistently, without forcing fruit out of season. If grief arises, let it come to the table. If anger stirs, let it speak in a measured voice. If joy surprises you, do not apologize for it. All of it belongs when it is brought under the light of understanding. So here is the invitation, simple and serious. Bring your real life, the one behind your eyes, the one you carry in your chest, and agree for this hour to become a student again. Whoever is wise seeks to learn, and you are wiser than you think for being here at all. Let the mind unclench around certainty and reach instead for honesty. Let the heart stop bracing for judgment and open to instruction that does not shame you. Let your future self feel the kindness of the choices you make tonight. On that table with the small lamp, place your questions, your fatigue, your ambition, and your hope. We are going to walk with them in the light, slowly, steadily, until understanding becomes action and action becomes character. It begins as a soft undoing, like loosening a knot you tied without noticing, and as the knot eases, the world grows larger, while the self grows gentler, smaller, truer. The more you see, the smaller you become. Not small in value, not small in dignity, but small in the way a traveler feels under a clear night sky, aware of distances and grateful to belong. There is relief in this kind of smallness, because it releases the constant pressure to be the one who knows and replaces it with the steadier rhythm of the one who learns. Whoever is wise seeks to learn. The heart that once sprinted to stay in front of every conversation starts to walk at a human pace, and in that pace, a different kind of strength returns, the strength that listens before it decides and breathes before it speaks. Overconfidence can be so polite that it passes for poise. It smiles and nods and makes decisions with a practiced calm, while quietly ignoring the data that does not flatter it. Many have known this. A deal that looked inevitable stumbles. A relationship that seemed unbreakable frays. A plan carved in stone begins to crack along the lines you refuse to trace with your finger. Inside the body, this shows up as a tight jaw, a chest that forgets to rise fully, a mind that rehearses the same defense 3 times before breakfast. The nervous system, loyal and ancient, keeps you braced, while the wiser part of you wants a softer posture, one that allows truth to land without needing to win an argument. In that soft posture, the amygdala grows quieter. Safety signals begin to travel along familiar highways in the body, and the higher centers of thought can do their good work again. Confidence without correction is a costume. Competence with correction is a home. Correction has a sting, but it is the sting of a clean wound washing in clear water. It hurts because it matters. It hurts because you are alive to it. Many can name a moment when someone's words brought heat to the face and a throb behind the eyes, and yet later, that same moment became a turning point, the hour when the path shifted away from ruin toward repair. The mind reorders itself under good feedback. Assumptions loosen like threads and are rewoven into a fabric that holds. The soul learns to recognize the difference between shame and alignment. Shame says you are wrong at the core and cannot be trusted. Alignment says you have drifted and can come back. The body knows the difference. One contracts and leaves you brittle, the other settles and leaves you available to wisdom. Imagine a room where a crown rests on a table beside an old map. The map is rolled tight at first. You feel capable and certain. Then the map begins to open along its creases, and the coastline widens, and the mountains multiply, and the roads branch into roads you have never taken. As the map expands, the crown appears to shrink, not because it loses worth, but because your world has gained scale. This is humility. This is what happens when vision deepens. You do not stop leading. You lead with more reference points. You lead with more listening. You lead with a hand that knows how to steady the compass rather than bend the terrain to your will. The practical changes are quiet and powerful. Fewer costly bets born from hurry. Quicker recovery when a path proves wrong. Clearer questions in the meetings where lives and resources are at stake. You begin to notice when you are performing confidence and when you are practicing competence. Performing confidence chases applause and dreads correction. Practicing competence invites reality to sit at the table and point at the lines you missed. Whoever is wise seeks to learn. The phrase repeats itself in the mind like a heartbeat until it becomes more than a motto. It becomes a manner of being. You are not less decisive. You are more exact. You are not slower to act. You are slower to insist and faster to adjust. There are people who carry a small habit that helps the heart stay teachable. It is simple and almost hidden, the kind of practice that could fit in the pocket of a life already full. At the end of the day, they note a single instance when feedback was received and accepted, a moment when reality asked for a turn and was allowed to take it. They might write only a few lines. What was said? What was felt? What changed? Over time, these small entries become a steady mirror. Patterns appear with kindness rather than accusation. The nervous system learns that correction is not a threat, but a friend with good timing. The mind learns that humility is not a loss of self, but a gain in accuracy. The soul learns that being guided does not diminish authority, it strengthens it. When this posture takes root, the fear of appearing wrong begins to dissolve. Pride no longer needs to keep the gates barred. New information is no longer an intruder to be repelled. It is a guest to be welcomed on the condition that it speaks truth and brings peace. You can feel this shift in the body, like a room exhaling after being closed for too long. Shoulders soften, vision widens, attention steadies on what matters most, not because distraction has vanished, but because relevance has become luminous. A heart that honors correction becomes a mind that sees further. A mind that sees further becomes a life that pays fewer avoidable costs. Every learner carries a moment of reckoning when the mask of certainty is set down and the face learns how to be unguarded without being unsafe. That moment does not make you less of a leader, less of a builder, less of a parent or friend. It makes you more trustworthy because it marries courage to truth. In that marriage, your words gain weight. Your decisions gain patience. Your presence gains a gentler gravity that steadies others who are still sprinting through their days with lungs on fire. Whoever is wise seeks to learn. The more you see, the smaller you become. And in that blessed smallness, love has more room to work and truth has more room to stand. There is a question that lingers in the evening when the day has grown quiet and the lamp gives its faithful circle of light. Where did pride block learning this week? It is a tender question, not a weapon. It does not accuse. It invites clarity without fear. Answer it in the way you speak to someone you love who has finally started to heal. Answer it with a courage that does not shout. Answer it with a sincerity that does not need to defend. From that answer, wisdom will take your hand and lead it back to the map, and the map will open a little more, and the crown will rest a little lighter, and your steps will feel more like your own. There is a rhythm beneath the rhythm of your days, a quieter pulse that does not negotiate with your schedule. And when you begin to sense it, the body responds with a surprising relief, as if a heavy coat were slipped from your shoulders. in a room that finally matches the weather. Effort is not the enemy, effort out of season is. There is sowing when the ground welcomes hidden beginnings. There is tending when roots ask for patience more than applause. There is harvesting when results ripen of their own accord. And there is resting when the field heals and the farmer remembers they are more than their yield. Whoever is wise seeks to learn, and wisdom learns to read time, not as a tyrant, but as a teacher. Anxiety tries to argue with this teacher. Wisdom listens and moves with it. Burnout often comes dressed as devotion. It convinces a good heart that urgency is proof of love, that exhaustion is the receipt for excellence, that saying yes to everything is a noble sacrifice rather than a slow disappearance. The body keeps the ledger more honestly. Breath climbs higher in the chest. Sleep breaks into pieces. The jaw forgets how to unclench. The mind loops a list it cannot finish because the list belongs to 4 seasons at once. Emotional neuroscience describes this state simply. Stress chemistry floods the system. The alarms stay lit, and the wiser parts of the brain that plan and prioritize begin to flicker, not from weakness, but from overload. The right work in the wrong season feels like pushing a river uphill. There is mercy in the realization that timing is not a luxury. Timing is a multiplier. A seed thrown on stone wastes its courage. A seed pressed into ready soil turns invisible and begins its quiet miracle without applause. The difference is not effort. The difference is when. Many people carry brilliant ideas that failed only because they were forced to bloom before the weather turned. The mind can force a schedule. The soul knows when a thing is not yet rooted enough to carry fruit. Whoever is wise seeks to learn, and learning here sounds like patience with a clock you did not design. Picture a vineyard with morning light touching the rows, dew on leaves, air cool enough to make the skin pay attention. The vines are alive with a lesson older than language. Growth is not only addition, growth is also subtraction. A careful hand removes what looks like promise so that true promise can reach the sun, and the fruit that finally comes is sweeter because of the losses it endured. This is pruning, and it has a twin inside the brain where unused connections are trimmed so that important pathways can carry thought like clear water. The science and the soil agree. Focus nourishes sweetness. Scattered growth dilutes it. In an age that worships acceleration, resting can look like betrayal, yet rest is the season that allows the others to flourish. The mind consolidates learning in the quiet. The heart recalibrates its sense of danger and safety. Muscles repair. Memory files its pages. Without this pause, the next push spends what the body has not yet earned back. The season of rest does not erase ambition, it refines it. It sifts haste out of hope so that hope can stand without shaking. When rest is honored, tending becomes more faithful, and harvest arrives without the panic that so often spoils its joy. Tending is the long conversation between intention and reality. It is the part of the story that rarely goes viral because it looks like ordinary days strung together by quiet loyalty. Emotional steadiness is shaped here. Micro adjustments are learned here. The nervous system, when it is given consistent cues of safety, begins to trust that it does not need to sprint to be loved or to hurry to be secure. This shift is not dramatic, but it is profound. Decisions become clearer because the body is no longer bargaining with fear behind the scenes. Relationships become sturdier because presence replaces performance as the currency of care. Harvest is the moment many chase while skipping the first 2 seasons and resenting the 4th. It's meant to be full, but it is not meant to be frantic. When harvesting arrives aligned with its proper time, it does not require endless explanation. It simply asks for steady hands and grateful eyes. The sweetest successes often feel strangely calm, not because they are small, but because they are rightful. They belong to the soil that carried them. They belong to the pruning that looked like failure. They belong to the days that felt like delay, but were actually formation. There is a clarity that comes when a life stops treating every door as urgent. You can feel it in the way a conversation keeps its center, in the way a calendar stops shouting, in the way a decision gains light without drama. Priorities sort themselves when seasons are honored. What is harvest stops being forced. What is sowing stops being judged for its invisibility. What is tending stops being despised as too slow. What is rest stops being accused of laziness. Whoever is wise seeks to learn, and learning becomes a way of moving through time without turning it into an enemy. Some find it helpful to see their work through the lens of these four movements, and notice how energy matches or resists them. A project that is truly in sowing carries a quiet hopefulness and a tolerance for obscurity. A project that is truly in tending carries a craft-like attention and a respect for repetition. A project that is truly in harvest carries a readiness to receive and to share without needing to prove. A life that is truly in rest carries a trust that being is not a sin against becoming. None of this is punitive. All of it is protective. The soul is guarded from the kind of striving that steals the sweetness from even good fruit. In this light, timing turns effort into multiplication. The same hours, offered to the right season, return themselves many times over. The same strength applied at the moment when the ground says yes, builds what hurry could not. The same love given in the window when a heart is open rather than defended heals without tearing. This is not superstition. It is the plain wisdom of the earth and the steady truth of how bodies and minds grow. Whoever is wise seeks to learn, and a discerning heart learns to trust the weather of the soul as much as the weather of the sky. Which project am I forcing out of season? There is a quiet architecture inside you, a palace with long corridors and rooms that hold your memories like candlelight. And at every entrance, there are gates that decide who is welcomed and who is allowed to pass by. Voices arrive like travelers. Some carry rest, some carry unrest. Some speak with the tone of wisdom that leaves the air softer after it speaks. Others shout in a way that makes the chest rise too quickly and the hands forget their steadiness. Whoever is wise seeks to learn. And part of learning is noticing which guests leave the house better than they found it, and which guests scatter the furniture of your attention, until even the simplest choice feels heavy. The body knows the difference before the mind admits it. When a harsh voice or a frantic story pushes through the gates, the old alarms flare, and a storm of chemicals turns the bloodstream into a hurried river. The amygdala stretches its vigilance until every shadow looks like a threat. The higher centers that plan and weigh and prioritize go dim, not because you are weak, but because the alarm is loud. When a trustworthy voice arrives, when an honoring rhythm touches the room, the breath descends again. The heart learns a calmer tempo, and the nerve that connects breath and safety sends a signal that steadies thought. In that steadiness, the brain's network that decides what matters begins to glow again. Clarity does not need to shout, it needs to feel safe. Not every thought deserves a throne, not every desire deserves an audience. This is not asceticism for its own sake. This is a kind of emotional hospitality that protects the home. Thoughts line up at the gate like merchants, and each one promises a bargain. Panic promises control if you act quickly. Resentment promises power if you rehearse the story again. Envy promises direction if you stare at what is not yours long enough. Wisdom receives these travelers with calm eyes and a listening heart, then gives them a meal and a blessing, and watches them leave without handing them the keys to the chamber where judgments are made. Mental clutter feels like a crowded courtyard where no one can hear the important conversation. Anxiety slips between guests and takes the floor without being invited, and soon your day becomes a chain of reactions rather than a sequence of choices. The body mirrors this confusion. Breathing turns shallow. The gaze moves without landing. Shoulders carry a weight that has no clear source. The mind, overloaded by unfiltered input, keeps asking the same question and doubting the same answer. A life cannot move with grace while the inner court is this crowded. It can only sprint and stumble and call the sprinting success. There is a gentler way, and it begins with knowing that the gates exist and that you are allowed to honor them. Values can stand guard without cruelty. Rhythms can schedule visits that protect energy and attention. Silence can become a private garden where the soul remembers its shape. Friendship can be a watchman who knows your name and knows which voices make your eyes brighter and which voices leave them dull. Spiritual practice breathes through all of this, like fresh air through open windows, and the wisdom of Solomon lingers in the halls, reminding the heart that reverence for what is true and good is the beginning of sound judgment. When the gates are tended, judgment sharpens in a way that feels merciful rather than harsh. Emotions steady just enough to ride the wave without being dragged under it. Boundaries become clear without becoming walls. Conversations stop spiraling and start landing. Work stops leaping from one urgent demand to the next and begins to flow in a pattern that fits your actual strength. The soul does not feel under constant inspection. It feels under kind protection. This protection does not shrink your world. It makes room for depth. Many find comfort in keeping a simple record of what comes through the gates, a handful of inputs noticed by name, a trace of how the body responded, a brief line about what remained after the feeling passed. Over time, patterns appear like constellations on a familiar night. Certain voices always sharpen courage. Certain channels always drain tenderness. Certain habits always leave a film that needs washing off. Naming does not punish. Naming restores accuracy, and accuracy restores peace. Imagine the royal court when it runs well. At the door, a wise attendant greets each guest with kindness and asks the question that matters. What do you bring to the peace of this house? The guests with steady eyes and honest hands are welcome to sit near the map where direction is chosen. The guests who trade in rumor or panic are offered warmth and then guided to the road. This is not cruelty. This is love. Learning to curate what it can carry without losing itself. Whoever is wise seeks to learn, and the heart that learns this curation becomes a home where presence grows strong. There will always be more voices than chairs. There will always be more stories than daylight. The goal is not silence forever. The goal is order that preserves life. When the inner court keeps its shape, the outer life begins to follow. Meetings take less from you and give more back. News informs without infecting hope. Screens become tools instead of masters. You feel it as a rightness in the body, a quiet authority that does not depend on volume. You are not living against your gates, you are living with them. Which guest in my inner court keeps causing disorder? There is a kind of strength that does not glitter, the kind that shows up when the cameras are gone and the room is quiet and the work is unremarkable to anyone but the one who keeps returning to it. This strength is not loud, it is faithful. It holds a tool that fits the hand and a rhythm that fits the breath. Prosperity in the vision of Solomon is not a trophy snatched by clever shortcuts. It is the shadow cast by wisdom when wisdom keeps walking the same honest path long enough for the earth to remember its steps. Haste makes promises to your ego. Diligence makes covenants with your future. Many have tasted the disappointment of speed without structure. A plan looks brilliant in the glow of adrenaline and then buckles in the heat of ordinary days. The body reveals this gap. Sleep turns thin, shoulders brace. The mind reaches for quick rewards because quick rewards are easy to find and easy to crave. Emotional neuroscience explains that the brain learns whatever we repeat, and when we repeat hurry, we teach the nervous system to chase sparks instead of building a steady fire. The wiser path rewrites this pattern. Safety is named. Breath slows. The centers responsible for focus and planning light up, and desire is harnessed to the long arc rather than to the nearest applause. There is nothing glamorous about patient iteration, yet it is the birthplace of mastery. The craftsman sands the same edge until it holds light like water. The writer turns a sentence until it carries weight without strain. The leader revisits a decision until it aligns with values and evidence rather than mood. In the brain, pathways thicken when attention is held kindly over time. Signals travel with less resistance. Movements become fluid. Thoughts arrive ready for use. This is not magic. It is the physics of being human. human and the mercy of habits that support the life they serve. Haste confuses motion with progress. It fills a day with activity and leaves the soul strangely untouched. Diligence chooses a few levers that matter and returns to them with a gaze that does not flinch. Over time, reputation grows from this returning. People begin to trust your word because your work has a shape that does not wobble. Doors open because you became the person who can be trusted on the other side of them. Money begins to follow, not as a master, but as a witness that value has been created without violence to your integrity. Wealth is the shadow of wisdom, and shadows lengthen when the sun is steady. Consider the ant, small to the eye and immense in its patience. The ant does not announce itself, it carries. It carries again. It draws lines that look like nothing until one day the lines are roads, and the roads are an invisible empire. This is an image for the days that feel like nothing is happening. Something is happening. You are thickening the pathways that make success quiet and durable. You are training attention to stay with what nourishes rather than chase what dazzles. You are building a life that remains when the noise fades. The pull of shortcuts is understandable. The brain loves novelty because novelty offers a surge of feeling that mimics meaning. Yet meaning grows in places where attention is allowed to take root. The reward system adapts to this steadiness. The quick spike of excitement gives way to a deeper satisfaction, the warm solidity that arrives when you keep a promise to yourself over many days. The heart learns to prefer outcomes that last over outcomes that trend. The body recognizes this preference as health. Think of a simple framework that honors this way of living. A handful of days each week, a single interval of unbroken focus that you can keep even when life is full. One lever at a time. Learn a piece. Build a small system. Nurture a relationship that multiplies everything it touches. Keep this cadence for a few weeks, and you will feel the architecture inside you begin to change. Not because a miracle happened, because you became consistent enough for the brain to believe you and for the soul to settle into trust. There is a quiet joy in this kind of diligence. It does not depend on applause, though it welcomes encouragement. It does not collapse when a day goes poorly, because it is loyal to the long view. It is humble enough to be corrected and persistent enough to try again without theatrics. People who live this way often look unhurried even when they are carrying much, and their presence lends courage to others who are tired of burning bright and breaking often. In the economy of wisdom, speed is not the enemy. Impatience is. Speed is a gift when it is harnessed to clarity and sustained by structure. Impatience is a thief that takes the harvest before it is sweet and calls the sourness proof that fruit is a lie. Solomon's insight shepherds us back to what endures. Skill sharpened over time, discipline that protects energy, reputation that can bear weight, prosperity that reflects character rather than disguises emptiness. What small, consistent action would make my success inevitable in 12 months? There is a room where wisdom gathers when you allow it, a long table with worn wood and a map that remembers every road you have taken, and around that table sit voices that care more about truth than about comfort. The air feels different here, steady and alive. Questions do not rush, answers do not pose. In this room, you do not carry the whole weight of your life alone. You carry it with people who can see where your vision narrows and where your courage needs a hand. Victory is built in the council room, not because others think for you, but because their sight widens yours until the path that was hidden begins to show itself. Whoever is wise seeks to learn, and one of the deepest learnings is that clarity is a communal art. Isolation shrinks the horizon. It convinces a tired mind that speed is wisdom and that certainty is strength, while the body keeps sending small alarms that something essential is missing. The chest holds its breath. The neck stiffens. Sleep arrives late and leaves early. Emotional neuroscience gives language to this experience. When you stand alone under pressure, the threat systems work overtime, and the regions of the brain that integrate nuance begin to dim. When you are held by honest counsel, the burden spreads across many minds. The alarms soften, and the centers that weigh options wake up with relief. You feel this as space in the ribcage and light behind the eyes. Perspective returns. Many advisors do not dilute responsibility, they refine it. A single viewpoint can be brilliant and still be blind in one corner. The right voices become prisms that turn a harsh beam into a full spectrum, revealing risks you did not factor and opportunities you would have missed. Wise counsel is not flattery. It does not decorate your plan. It interrogates it with love. It asks the kind of questions that protect your future from the wounds of your pride. Your authority does not shrink in this light. It matures. Decisions made with the benefit of many angles carry a peace that does not wobble when the first wind rises. The myth of the lone hero is seductive because it seems clean and simple. No delays, no disagreement, no exposure to the discomfort of being challenged. Yet what looks strong in the moment often ends weak in the aftermath. Without counsel, bias goes unchecked and fear hides in the folds of conviction. With counsel, the ego learns to take a seat without leaving the room. The will becomes a servant of wisdom rather than its rival. This is not a loss of power. It is power learning to be trustworthy. Imagine the war table of a king who cares about people more than appearance. Maps spread open, markers arranged with patience, reports from the field laid beside past lessons and present constraints. Voices differ without contempt. The room does not hum with drama. It hums with devotion to what is true and what is good. In this atmosphere, disagreement becomes a form of care. Tension becomes a forge that shapes better choices. What emerges is not a compromise of vision. It is vision that has been tested and made stronger than any one mind could make it. Certain relationships multiply your life the way good soil multiplies a seed. Some offer grounded principles that keep the compass steady when novelty tries to steal the wheel. Some bring a builder's eye that translates ideals into steps that do not break the body. Some stand like a mirror that tells the truth about your motives with a tenderness that refuses to humiliate. When these kinds of people surround your decisions, risk is no longer a cliff that demands bravado. Risk becomes a landscape that invites careful travel. Your courage grows not from ignorance of danger, but from respect for it. There is a measurable calm that enters the nervous system when counsel holds the room. The social nature of the human brain allows shared perspective to lower perceived threat and increase cognitive flexibility. Heart rate steadies, breath deepens. The mind stops arguing with shadows and faces the real edges of the choice with clear eyes. In that steadiness, you can act with a boldness that is not reckless, a boldness anchored in reality and sheltered by the wisdom of others. Moves become safer even as they become larger. Outcomes become kinder even as they become stronger. Not every voice qualifies for the table. Some speak from envy and call it insight. Some speak from fear and call it prudence. Over time, you learn to discern the signatures of true counsel by the fruit it leaves behind. After speaking with them, your mind feels ordered rather than agitated. Your conscience feels clean rather than manipulated. Your next step feels weighty but manageable, alive but not frantic. The body testifies here as well. Shoulders loosen, breath drops, vision widens. These are signs that truth is near. The gift of counsel is not only better answers, it is better questions. What are we not seeing? Where are we strongest? Where does our strength become a weakness at scale? What is the cost of being right in the wrong way? What would mercy look like if it wore a plan? In the presence of such questions, the heart learns to tell the difference between stubbornness and conviction, between delay that protects and delay that avoids, between the kind of risk that grows you and the kind that punishes those who trust you. This is character turning into strategy. This is strategy turning back into character. Over time, a life shaped by these multiplier relationships begins to carry a quiet authority. People feel safe around your decisions because those decisions do not lurch or flinch. They are strong without being hard. They are confident without being closed. They are generous because they were born in a room where honesty was not punished, and where love did not look away from the facts. Whoever is wise seeks to learn, and the wisdom learned in council rooms walks out into the world with a steadiness that invites others to breathe, who reliably tells me the truth before the world does. By now the room feels different, as if the air itself had learned your name, and the map on the table carries the warmth of hands that have traced its lines with patience. What was scattered begins to lean toward coherence. The crown is lighter, because the horizon is wider. The seasons are not enemies, because each one is allowed to sing its note. The gates hold their shape, and the house grows quiet in a way that strengthens rather than isolates. Work has a pulse that keeps faith with endurance. Voices at the table trade certainty for clarity, and the clarity does not wobble when the wind arrives. This is how separate wisdoms learn to breathe together. Humility bends the heart toward truth without shrinking its worth, and in that bending a person becomes easier to help and harder to harm. Timing eases the friction that once turned even good plans into struggle, so effort lands in weeks and weather that can carry it. The inner court no longer hosts chaos as an honored guest, so attention returns to what matters and remains long enough to do its quiet work. Diligence stops auditioning for approval and starts keeping house in the places where excellence is born. Counsel holds up mirrors that do not mock and brings maps that do not flatter, and the path that emerges under this light is not a performance. It is a life coming into alignment with what is good and true. The body confirms what the soul already knows. Breathing settles into a steadier tide. The shoulders learn the shape of ease without slipping into apathy. The mind rests its weight on deeper structures and stops bargaining with fear. No single moment is asked to save you. No single victory is asked to prove you. The load is spread across many simple fidelities that reinforce one another without fanfare. In such a climate, decisions are not rushed, because panic has been named and given a seat far from the helm. Decisions take their time, because they are trusted to arrive when they are ripe. Across the table there are small objects that hold the memory of this journey. A modest notebook where a few honest lines have turned embarrassment into alignment. A folded sketch of the year with gentle borders for sowing and tending and harvesting and resting, not as commands, but as a kindness to energy and attention. A short list of voices that leave the inner room clearer than they found it, and beside it, a fading roster of inputs that once seemed essential but now feel like noise that can be greeted at the door and allowed to pass by. A simple hourglass for the work that grows you and for the care that multiplies what you build. Proof that presence can be measured without becoming mechanical. 3 quiet chairs with names that mean more than roles. One that remembers principles, one that carries plans, one that keeps the soul honest. Each a shelter for days when courage feels thin. Nothing here is dramatic except the gentleness. Nothing here is quick except mercy. The changes arrive like rain that the ground was always ready to receive. You notice it in conversations that land rather than circle. You notice it in the absence of the old need to explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding. You notice it when fatigue no longer means you have betrayed your calling and rest no longer tastes of guilt. You notice it when money becomes a witness rather than a master, when influence feels like stewardship rather than hunger, when love becomes the reason to prepare rather than the excuse to rush. This is the atmosphere in which wisdom grows roots. Humility protects it from heat. Discernment of season waters it without drowning it. Guarded gates keep the soil free of choking vines. Diligence adds the slow minerals that fruit requires. Counsel shelters the sapling until the trunk can bear weather without splitting. None of these strands ask for applause. They ask for room. Room to take hold. Room to become character. Room to become a way of moving through the hours that leaves the world a little kinder than you found it. Under a small lamp, the map is open again, and it is not anxious. The lines are not orders. They are invitations to congruence. You find yourself reading them with a calmer chest, tracing routes that honor your actual strength, and you begin to sense how one faithful choice protects the next faithful choice, how one correction spares a handful of future apologies, how one honest conversation prevents a winter that would have been hard to survive. This is multiplication without spectacle. This is legacy arriving one ordinary day at a time. If wisdom visited your life in the coming week, how would your calendar, your gates, and your table look different by the next quiet evening? Gratitude lingers in the quiet like the last warmth of a lamp, and in that warmth, the heart recognizes itself as a student again, not smaller in worth, only closer to truth. The road ahead does not demand spectacle. It asks for a fidelity that feels like kindness, a steadiness that feels like respect for the life entrusted to your hands. Wisdom has a way of finding those who remain available to it, and availability sounds less like striving and more like honest presence. The story continues with or without noise. The soul knows which it prefers. What has been gathered here does not vanish when the screen goes dark. It moves into rooms where decisions wait and into hours where fatigue can make meaning brittle. It steadies calendars without hardening them. It keeps the gates attentive without growing suspicious. It keeps work devoted without becoming severe. It keeps relationships clear without losing tenderness. The change is gentle and therefore strong. It is the kind that lasts because it respects how people and seasons actually grow. There is always another layer to Solomon's wisdom, and it meets modern life with a surprising precision. The next conversation turns toward choices made under uncertainty, a blueprint that is simple and repeatable and merciful to the future self. It will not promise a life without risk. It will offer a way to carry risk without losing peace. When the time feels right, the map will be here, the table will be set, and the same steady light will be waiting.